I realized something wasn't adding up the moment I scrolled through her Uber history at 2 in the morning, sleepless and tense beneath the pale glow of our living room lamp. My girlfriend, Nadia, had never seemed the secretive type. She was bright, quick-witted, and openly affectionate, a person whose warmth filled every corner of our shared apartment. Yet as I flicked through each ride on her phone, my pulse began to drum in my ears. Late-night trips to an address I didn't recognize, all scheduled after midnight, all destined for the same out-of-the-way house. No name, no restaurant, no obvious landmark, just a street I'd never heard her mention before. If she was simply visiting a friend, why hide it? Why never bring it up in conversation? The question lodged in my gut like a twist of cold metal, and that was the instant I knew something in our relationship was about to change forever. I'm Greg, a freelance graphic designer, mostly working from home these days. Nadia is an RN at a local hospital, pulling varied shifts that often leave her exhausted. We'd been dating for over 2 years, living together for nearly 1, and in that time I never saw a trace of dishonesty in her. She was the type to greet me with a radiant smile after a grueling 12-hour shift, too drained even to talk yet still trying to share her day's highlights. We had a steady rhythm in our relationship, late dinners when she returned from the hospital, relaxed weekends when our schedules aligned. It wasn't always perfect, but there was trust. At least, I believed there was. But in the last month or so, something shifted. Nadia started disappearing on certain nights. She'd get a text, or so she claimed, then quietly slip out, murmuring she had to handle an errand. If I asked her what sort of errand, she'd sigh or flash a small, apologetic smile, saying, "Nothing important, I'll be back soon," or just something I promised to help with. The first few times, I assumed it was a friend's crisis or a last-minute hospital favor. But she never elaborated. And the excuses multiplied. Sometimes she'd leave after dinner. Sometimes well past midnight, when she should have been asleep to prep for an early shift. Then she'd return an hour or two later, looking drained, and go straight to bed without volunteering a word. I tried pushing the concern aside. She'd been stressed at work, maybe her mother needed help, or a co-worker had asked for some private assistance. Yet each time I asked for details, she'd wave me off gently, or claim it was no big deal. As the vanishings increased, so did the knot of anxiety in my chest. Was she seeing someone else? The thought felt ridiculous. Our relationship had no glaring issues that might lead to cheating, as far as I could tell. But then again, I'd never known her to hide things from me, either. One fateful night, I found myself wide awake at midnight, the flicker of city lights casting restless shadows across our bedroom walls. She'd gone out again, offering no real explanation. My mind churned with every horrible possibility, an affair, a debt collector, a secret second job, or something even darker. When she returned an hour later, she murmured something about just a friend needing a favor, then slipped under the covers. The next day, she acted normal, as if nothing weird had happened. Meanwhile, my suspicion raged quietly beneath my polite smiles. It all came to a head a week later. I was reorganizing my digital files in the living room, trying to distract myself, when I found Nadia's phone left on the coffee table. She was in the shower, water roaring behind the bathroom door. Part of me said I should respect her privacy. After all, rummaging through her phone would cross a line. But the gnawing doubt drove me forward. I rationalized it. If she was in trouble or hiding something that threatened us, I had a right to know. My hands trembled as I picked up her phone, unlocking it with the familiar passcode. She'd shared it casually months ago, never suspecting I'd use it this way. At first, nothing in her texts or emails jumped out. The usual threads with co-workers, her mother, a few close friends. I scrolled carefully, searching for anomalies, messages abruptly deleted, strange phone calls, weird group chats. Then, I remembered that Uber keeps a trip history. Maybe that would reveal something about her nightly outings. So I opened the Uber app, scanning her recent rides. My heart pounded as I saw the pattern: multiple trips, all after midnight, all to the exact same address. She'd also used it to return to our apartment around 1 or 2 in the morning. No mention of these rides in her texts, no sign of them in casual conversation. I typed the address into Google Maps, my stomach twisting. It was a small house in a quieter section of town, definitely not near the hospital or near any friend's place that I recognized. The street name was completely foreign to me. I stared at the screen, mind reeling with possibilities. If she was meeting someone romantic, wouldn't she be more discreet? Then again, maybe not. Maybe she thought I'd never check her phone. My head spun with questions. And that's when she stepped out of the shower, water dripping from her hair, saw me holding her phone, and froze. Her eyes darted from me to the phone, then back again. "Greg?" she said quietly, a tremor in her voice. "What are you doing?" My heart hammered. "Nadia, we need to talk." She swallowed hard, clutching the edge of the bathroom doorway. The tension crackled between us. I motioned for her to sit on the couch. Still wrapped in a towel, she nodded numbly and settled onto the cushions, water droplets forming small dark patches on the fabric. I sat beside her, phone still in hand. "I'm sorry," I began, words tumbling out in a rush. "I know I shouldn't have snooped, but you've been sneaking out late at night, giving vague excuses. I was worried. I checked your Uber history. You keep going to this one address. Over and over." She stared at me, face pale. For a moment, she said nothing, just parted her lips as though searching for the right words. Finally, she whispered, "I didn't want you to find out this way." I exhaled shakily, fear gripping my heart. "So it's true? You've been going there regularly. Why? Who lives there?" Her expression flickered with shame, sorrow, a hint of something deeper. "It's complicated," she murmured. "I can explain, but can I get dressed first?" I nodded, tension tight in my throat. She disappeared into the bedroom, returning moments later in sweats and a t-shirt, hair still damp. She sank onto the couch again, avoiding my gaze. I clenched my hands together, bracing for the worst. Nadia took a trembling breath. "I'm sorry I've been lying to you. I was afraid that if I told you the truth, you'd never see me the same way again. Or you'd try to stop me." Alarm spiked in my chest. "Stop you from what?" She hesitated, eyes brimming with tears. "I've been going to see my ex-fiancé, Ray. We were engaged years before I met you. It ended badly, I left him, but now he's in trouble, serious trouble. He called me out of the blue, saying he was sick, needed help, had no one else." She paused, voice thick with emotion. I felt guilty. I know it's stupid, but I couldn't ignore him. A wave of conflicting feelings crashed through me, jealousy, relief, confusion, anger. "So you've been visiting your ex?" I echoed, my voice tight. "At his house, in the middle of the night." She nodded, tears threatening to spill. He's not well. He has a serious condition, something about kidney failure. He's on dialysis, lost his job, can't pay for caretakers. He's basically stuck at home, alone, depressed. We parted on horrible terms, but now he's desperate, and I can't just..." She choked up, burying her face in her hands. My jaw clenched. So it wasn't exactly an affair, but still, she'd hidden contact with her ex, snuck around behind my back. "You could have told me," I said quietly. "Why hide it with these rides? Why not say, 'Hey, my ex is sick, I want to help him out'? Sure, I'd be upset or worried, but we could talk." She sniffled. "Because I know how it looks. How many people would be okay with their girlfriend supporting an ex? I was terrified you'd lash out or give me an ultimatum. Ray and I have history. He hurt me, I hurt him. We haven't spoken in years. But when he contacted me, sounding half dead, something in me felt obligated. I used to love him, once. I couldn't let him face this alone." She looked up, tears clinging to her lashes. "I don't love him anymore, Greg. I love you. But he's a human being who's suffering. I just wanted to bring groceries, help with basic care, stuff a nurse can do. Then slip back home without drama." A swirl of anger and empathy warred inside me. Part of me raged, how dare she run to another man, especially an ex, in secret? Another part recognized the compassion in her. If he was truly ill, it made sense she felt a moral pull to help. But the lies still stung. "Nadia," I said more gently than I felt, "this is a big thing to hide. Couldn't you trust me enough to handle the truth?" She shook her head miserably. "I was scared. I know your temper sometimes. Remember last year, when you found out that coworker of mine was flirting with me, you got so protective? I thought you'd assume the worst here, or forbid me from going." She inhaled shakily. "And maybe I was worried about my own feelings, that part of me might still care about Ray. Not romantically, but as a person who once meant so much." My chest felt tight. I tried to gather my thoughts. "I get that. But sneaking out at midnight looks way worse than telling me from the start. I've spent weeks thinking you might be cheating. It's driven me half crazy." Her tears spilled over. "I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I'm not cheating, I promise. I only stay for an hour or two, checking his vitals, giving him medication reminders, cleaning up if needed. He's on a waiting list for home health services, but it's taking forever. I'm bridging the gap. I let out a breath, tension coiling in my stomach. So this is purely medical help? No, emotional or romantic reconnect, Diane. She swore up and down it wasn't. There's no romance left, Greg. He's physically weak, can barely stand sometimes, and I feel sorry for him. Yes, I have leftover empathy from our past, but that's it. I love you. I wouldn't betray you that way. I studied her face, searching for any hint of deception. Her despair seemed genuine. The ferocity of my jealousy waned, replaced by exhaustion and a flicker of compassion. Okay, I said at last, rubbing my temples. So what now? Are you going to keep sneaking off? Or can we figure out a better plan? She sniffled, hope flickering in her gaze. I'd like to be upfront about it now, if you'll let me. I don't want to hide. But I still feel responsible for him until he gets professional help. He has no family, no real friends left. Once the home nurse starts, I can back away. I inhaled slowly. My emotions churned, but her honesty, even if belated, felt like a step forward. All right. But no more midnight Ubers behind my back. If you want to help him, do it openly. Let me help, or at least know what's happening. Deal? She nodded fervently, fresh tears tracking down her cheeks. Deal. I'm sorry, truly. I just didn't know how to handle it. I pulled her into a hug, my own eyes moist. The tension of weeks drained from me, replaced by a complicated mix of relief and lingering hurt. I'm still upset, but I appreciate you finally telling me. That night, we stayed up talking. She revealed how Ray had been her college sweetheart, how they got engaged too young, drifted apart, and ended with a bitter breakup. She'd cut off contact until his text arrived out of nowhere, describing his dire health. She'd visited once out of morbid curiosity, found him living in squalor. Her nursing instincts kicked in. He was on dialysis but kept missing appointments. She promised to help him get back on track. Then it spiraled into repeated visits, at odd hours, because of her work schedule and his nighttime episodes of pain or panic. The guilt of lying to me weighed heavily on her, but she'd been too deep to back out. Over the next days, I had to wrestle with my own insecurities. Part of me hated the idea of her tending intimately to an ex's needs. But I also saw her compassion, recognized it as something I admired in her. We hammered out an agreement: she'd visit Ray if needed, but at more reasonable times, and she'd tell me upfront. She'd also keep me informed about his progress, so I wouldn't fester in ignorance. If I wanted to tag along, I could, though she warned that might make Ray uncomfortable. I was content just knowing the truth. The first time she went to Ray's place after our confrontation, she left mid-afternoon. Before departing, she gave me a gentle kiss and promised to text updates. I appreciated the new transparency, though my stomach still clenched with a jolt of unease. She texted me an hour later: "He's stable, just needed groceries. Coming home soon." True to her word, she returned by dinnertime, looking drained but no longer skulking guiltily. The shift in her demeanor was palpable. Over the following weeks, things settled into a shaky new normal. Nadia's discreet ex-care visits became less frequent as she helped Ray secure better in-home nursing. Some days, she'd still check on him, but not at midnight. I saw the relief in her eyes at not having to invent spare excuses or worry about me checking her phone. Yet I also sensed lingering tension. Ray's condition worsened off and on. She'd come home teary-eyed, sometimes venting about how tragic it felt to watch him suffer. I tried to be supportive, though part of me resented how much emotional energy she was pouring into an ex. But we talked openly about it, preventing that resentment from festering into a relationship-killing monster. Eventually, Ray's official home nurse arrived, easing Nadia's burden. She spent less time over there, letting professionals handle the bulk of his care. As she withdrew, she confided in me that she felt a measure of closure, like she was finally laying to rest the guilt and bitterness from their broken engagement. That helped me, too, because I saw she wasn't fixating on him out of lingering romantic feelings, but rather a sense of moral duty and compassion. Our arguments subsided. The illusions around late-night Ubers vanished. We never told many people about the fiasco. A couple of close friends noticed tension and asked if we were okay. We gave vague answers about some personal stuff. Nadia's mother, a tough woman who disliked Ray even back when they were engaged, would have been furious to learn Nadia was helping him. So we kept quiet about that part, too. Over time, we found ourselves stronger as a couple, having faced this bizarre test of trust. I wouldn't say I was thrilled about the whole scenario, but I appreciated that Nadia had come clean eventually. The sense of betrayal gradually receded under the light of empathy. The final chapter came a few months later. Ray's health deteriorated to the point he was moved to a care facility. Nadia visited him once more in a hospital-like setting, telling him goodbye, ensuring he had what he needed. She told me afterward that he wept, apologizing for the pain he'd caused her in the past. She forgave him, though she carried no illusions about reuniting. He passed away not long after. Nadia mourned briefly, not with the devastation of a lover but with the sorrow of someone who once shared a life path. I held her while she cried, supporting her without jealousy, because by then, I trusted her heart was here with me. Looking back, I see how easily misunderstandings can sprout when secrets lurk in the shadows. If I'd not discovered her Uber history or confronted her, maybe we'd have grown irreparably distant. She might have continued sneaking out, fueling my darkest suspicions. Instead, by unmasking the truth, we found a messy but genuine path forward. And though the memory of that confrontation still stings, her sitting on the couch in a towel, tears in her eyes, I'm glad we faced it head-on rather than letting it corrode our relationship from within. Nadia sometimes jokes, postscript, that if she ever truly wants a spa day, she'll drag me along so I can confirm it's legitimate. We share a wry laugh, each recalling how an innocent white lie, "I'm just popping to a spa," can balloon into a fiasco. But beneath the humor, we carry the lesson that trust needs openness to survive. Even if the truth is messy, like aiding a dying ex, honesty can guide us through the dark corners of love. And in the end, we're still here, side by side, forging ahead with a deeper understanding of each other's capacity for compassion and forgiveness. So that's how it all unfolded, the nights of clandestine Uber rides to a house I never recognized, the tension-laden confrontation, and the ultimate revelation that it wasn't about betrayal but about final mercy for someone who once meant everything to her. If anything, it taught me that real love accommodates complicated, painful truths. And that the shadow cast by a hidden address can be dispelled by a single conversation, if both partners are willing to risk the vulnerability of baring their souls.